Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Coaching in association with My Pocket Coach. My name is Kevin Britz and I'm an executive coach, leadership facilitator and the host to the Lunchtime series. Today we are chatting to a pioneer of the coaching world. She is someone who has been around for the last 27 years as managing director to the IE Group and recently has launched the amazing My Pocket Coach app. Please welcome to the show the phenomenal woman in business, Gail Cameron. Hello Gail, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you, Kevin. It's wonderful to be here.
Thank you for making the time. It's so exciting to chat about what we are chatting about. Gail, I'm going to kick it off straight away with please tell us about the journey from 27 years is quite the number. So you kind of invented coaching for us. Forming the IE Group to where you are standing now on the brink of sort of the new world of coaching, namely the Pocket Coach, My Pocket Coach. So please tell us more about what that journey looked like for you.
So 27 years ago, I'd written a book called Voice Excellence. And when that was published, I was overwhelmed by the response because people also wanted to refine their communication skills. And so I realized I had a business case, started it at home, and it just grew very, very quickly until we started employing people and then had to move into offices. So long before, coaching was popular, we started this business, and I must admit it's been an exhilarating journey. And our approach has been quite different in that it's more holistic, it's integrated and scientific. So we believe it's an inside job. So your emotional and psychological makeup drive your behavior. Yeah. So we've always tried to address those areas. And right from the beginning, I employed specialists who were specialists in their area, so that the offering would be holistic. So you've got image consultants, you've got psychologists, you've got voice and speech specialists, you've got leadership coaches. And of course, that grew and grew, and you go through all the ups and downs that any business does. And then about 5 years ago, I started thinking about, how are we going to pass this on? How are we going to ensure sustainability? And how can we reach a wider audience? And so 3 years ago, we actively started developing the app. And it's been amazing. We launch in a week. It's very exciting.
Yeah, it is. And I'm fortunate to be one of the coaches who are part of the app. So I'm also really excited about this. So in terms of the different coaches and having coaches at your fingertips, tell us about that concept. Because when I first heard about this, I was going, oh wow, that's such a really clever idea to be able to go, wow, let me pick up my phone and actually connect with a coach and sort of see who I can speak to. There's so many people out there in the world, especially in the times that we caught up in today. What was your thinking about that? Because I think that's such a brilliant approach to what we need today.
So many times when I've been working with clients, they'll say, I needed you yesterday when I was going into that interview and I didn't know what to say. Or, last night I was having this discussion and I just felt I wasn't assertive enough. And I thought having a coach in your pocket is probably the best way to get around that. So imagine if you could just click a button on your phone and immediately speak to somebody who can provide you with the advice. So that was the whole thinking around it. And, we have coaches at My Pocket Coach who've been here for over 12 years. So they really are specialists. And it's just incredible that we've got this, it's over 150 years of experience that has come together and being able to offer this to our clients.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, and but taking into consideration where we are at in the world today, and so many people are talking about COVID, and I don't necessarily talk about it. So maybe the situation that we find ourselves, especially in trying times, how do you, as a woman, a woman in leadership, a woman in business, how do you keep that reality of your dreams alive? It's like, what do you do?
So that's a beautiful question, and I guess it's about not letting becoming despondent when things don't go well, and it's finding a way to be wise with the unwanted. So it speaks to a lot of mindfulness. But it's, the times that we're living in are exceptionally, they are extremely challenging for many people. And it's about, the fear of I might lose my job, or, the fear of becoming ill, or dealing with people that who are already ill. So it's there's a huge amount of uncertainty. So we have specialists, we have therapists who are we find the increase in this demand for this work is incredible, who are dealing with people who are suffering from this fear, who are suffering heightened levels of anxiety and stress. So that is a big demand right now. And I'm very happy to say that the specialists here, are able to provide some reassurance to people. And just this week, we actually ran a webinar on leadership in uncertain times.
Yeah.
And in this webinar, I actually used Nelson Mandela's leadership example, because being one of the iconic leaders. But when things are so uncertain, it's great to look back at these incredible examples and have a look at what underpinned his leadership. And of course, when you understand it, it's what Albert Koopman called pragmatic humanism. What is that? It's emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
So empathy goes a long way towards helping the people that you work with. And that's having a capacity to participate in people's feelings. And the latest research is actually showing us, and this is so fascinating, and this is especially important for leaders who are out there dealing with their teams, is that when a leader is empathetic, it lights up the ventral striatum of the brain, which is the part of the brain, the pleasure-seeking areas of the brain, which make the person who's being empathetic feel good about themselves. So it's a double benefit.
So, being one of these leaders in the world today, you also, as you mentioned, you also have a team that you keep motivated and you work with on a daily basis. What are those things that you're doing? I mean, empathy obviously comes up quite strongly, and but currently, COVID has really pushed our buttons to such a degree. What are you doing? What are the 5 things that you may be doing that are really keeping your team motivated and, gunning to keep doing their best?
In these difficult times, it's very, very easy to lapse into something called sacrifice syndrome. So that's the clinical term for burnout. And how that works is it starts off with feeling stressed, under pressure, defensive, anxious, nervous. Every client that you'll speak to, and I'm sure this has happened to you, Kevin, when you've been coaching and you ask them, when is the time that you've not experienced it this year? And they'll say, before lockdown. And since lockdown, it's just been perpetual. So what that leads to is power stress. Power stress happens because you have an obligation to influence other people. It is much more difficult trying to do this online. People don't realize, but living in a virtual world now is 10 times more difficult because of the concentration that it takes to read the para and meta aspects and being able to interpret accurately what is going on.
Yeah.
So, and people are working longer hours. So just yesterday I had a client and I said, I want you to take 10 minutes in the morning and go outside, take your shoes off and ground yourself, because she's in this virtual world day and night, and it's really not good for us. Cut time in your calendar for lunch, etc. So what power stress then results in is this neural circuitry of fear, and we all have it. It's been finely mapped by neuroscientists. But what that means is we process information by our senses. So we, read the troubling emails, we listen to the news, we go into social media, and all of this negativity is compounded. So now the neurons start firing on the right-hand side of the prefrontal cortex, and here come the bad hormones. The bad hormones produce cortisol, and that's the problem. It's the cortisol that attacks your immunoglobulin A. So your immune system becomes compromised. So you find that you're suffering chronic fatigue. Your diet is suffering. You wake up in the middle of the night and you can't fall asleep again. You have now entered the sacrifice syndrome.
Yeah.
And if you continue this over a long period, it will even trigger anabolic endorphins in the body, which start disease.
Wow.
So That's the sacrifice syndrome. So the critical thing to overcome that, there are three pathways that need to be opened. And the first is mindfulness. That is a conscious awareness of yourself, heart, mind, body, spirit. And it's learning to be in a wise relationship with the unwanted. So most people cannot answer the question, who am I? What is my purpose? What is the legacy I want to leave behind me? So we excavate that in a very deep, profound way. And then things start to change. When mindfulness is aroused, it leads to hope. And hope is a crucial one for us at this stage, because we see in the absence of hope that people die. When hope is aroused, it leads to compassion. And compassion is empathy and caring in action. And most people think they need to help others first. That's the wrong way around. You need to start with yourself, because only if you value self can you value others. Only if you really help yourself appreciate who you are, can you appreciate others. So essentially, when those pathways are active and open, the same neural circuitry is going on in the brain, but now the neurons fire on the left. When they fire here, the good hormones enter the body. They fight the bad hormones. They boost your immunoglobulin A, and it leads to feelings of being peaceful or excited or looking forward to the future. So repeat that over a long period. You get very resilient people who can deal with immense change and challenge and still, leave an amazing legacy. So it's really not complicated.
But I mean, it's so. I love that you break it down so wonderfully. It really gets down to the practical steps on what you're doing from moment to moment, and that's why when I started the lunchtime series, I was listening, and I was one of those people on social media, kind of freaking out in my head, going, "Oh my wow! Like what is this all about, and what are we going to do about it?" And I kicked into gear for myself, and I went, well, how do we empower people? Because a lot of people are on social media, they are watching, they are constantly scrolling. And how do we just give them a bit of, short information to really empower them and get them to think a little bit differently? And I'm so glad that you could share this with us today, because it's so impactful on everything you're saying. But, in celebration of Women's Month, one of the questions that I have here is, how do you think a woman impacts your leadership style? Does it impact leadership style, being a woman in the world today?
So women have unique skills to lead in the new economic order. So number one, they are better at tolerating ambiguity and uncertainty. So that makes them ideal, especially in these times of change. Number two, they are better communicators. So they win all the international speech contests.
Yes.
Number three, they are very good at interpreting nonverbal behavior, because they have to raise small children who can't speak. So they have to interpret what the child needs. They are also very good at building egalitarian teams and also good at sharing power. So those are some good reasons why women need to be accelerated into positions of leadership. They do have unique skills.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, I love the fact that it's Women's Month in the month of August. And, from my side, I'm also doing a lot of celebration in the name of leadership for women for this month. But if you could, considering it's being Women's Month, what advice would you give the next generation of female leaders? No pressure, no pressure.
I think one of the most important things is self-belief, is to back yourself, believe in yourself, and to look at those questions in a very deep way. There's nothing new about this stuff. Sophocles said, know thyself. So embark on a deep excavation of understanding, who are you? What is your purpose? Build up your inner confidence, because that inner confidence drives your behavior, it affects your communication. So, Yogi Bhajan, who was responsible for bringing Kundalini yoga to the West, he said that we don't only get people through the words that they use. All of us can read people's energies. It's the emotional brain that reads that information. We sense in a heartbeat when a person of gravitas has entered the room. We also know in a 50th of a second when you're seated around a table and somebody has to present and they're filled with fear. You know it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So it's very important for women especially to know who they are, but to be connected to their greatness, their potential, not their smallness or fear, because others can read it.
Thank you. I think that, that's giving me advice. So it's fantastic. Gail, so, you're listening to you, there's such wisdom and inspiration that you speak from. Describe to us a time where you almost gave up and what you did to stay motivated. Because I think, a lot of the time people often look maybe on a video or they look at a profile and they say, well, that person's always got it together. They never go through stresses. They obviously, just have motivation in their back pocket and it's, easy. But, describe so people can, I'd love for you to give us that insight on when you went through something difficult and what you did to be able to get out of it.
So there've been many dark periods that we've gone through, not only as an individual, but as a business. In 27 years, you experience all the euphoria and all the dysphoria with it.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest lessons that I had to learn was to deal with fear. So when you've had constrictions, especially financial constrictions, and there's this illusion, and it is a complete illusion, that you're going to lose the business and that you have to retrench people. It's heartbreaking. And you buy into that illusion and you step into the middle of that fear. It's very, very difficult. And there's no easy path through it. Yes, you can read a book on it. And I mean, there's many, many brilliant books out there. And Marianne Williamson was one of the most helpful. It's called A Return to Love. And that will certainly help you. But then the fear morphs and changes and it comes at you in a different way. So then you realize, I haven't mastered this yet. I need to deal with this in a different way. And eventually you begin to realize that this is just what Einstein called a beautiful illusion. I'm seeing my life through the own lens of my beliefs and my experiences. And I can change those beliefs. I think that's very important to understand, is that you can shift negative beliefs.
Yeah.
Jesus said in the Bible, fear was the last obstacle to overcome. And if you look at people like Wayne Dyer, he said, you can't overcome it in 3 easy steps. You have to go into the epicenter of it. You have to feel it. You have to experience it, to know it. And only in that way, then do you learn to be in a wise relationship with fear. And that is the only way to the other side. But the important thing is to understand that there is abundance in all of us. That fear is just an illusion. It's the way you perceive the world. And you can change your thoughts, your feelings, and your intentions. And by doing that, you change your life.
Yeah, I mean, everything you're saying is what I've always been so passionate about. I remember being caught up in being clinically depressed. I was diagnosed as clinically depressed in my 20s, and I freaked out. I had a complete moment about it because I thought, if my brain got me there, surely my brain could get me out. And it did. I did a lot of work on it. I educated myself. I read a lot of biographies and information to kind of change that. So everything you're saying resonates so much with me. So on building confidence and resilience over the course of your career, if you could leave anyone that's going to be watching this video today, what are a few tips of guidance for anyone that is listening?
Most important thing is to believe in yourself, is to value yourself, because without that, nobody can value you. So it's also, when you understand that emotions have been measured in microwatts of energy, it has, and at the very bottom lies shame. and it measures in at 20 microwatts, and so you move up, and then finally, in the middle it sits courage. That's 200 microwatts. Then you realize that, I can do this. But it does start with how you feel about yourself. And most of us, to a greater or less extent, don't value ourselves enough. So I think that's a very important thing to learn, is that, you are born whole, you are still whole, you are going to die whole, that you are valuable, that you are worthy. I think the lack of that is what we have seen, in a career of 30 years, is the most debilitating thing for everyone. But it need not, remain your reality. You can change that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gail. I think that's such wonderful advice. I just want to touch off. I know we only have a half an hour to go through the lunchtime sessions, but I want to just touch on My Pocket Coach. I'm on the website at the moment, and I'm just going to read the online application for coaching advice, tips, immediate guidance at various levels, from a free introductory awareness creation coaching platform to a subscription-based in-depth provision. We really want people to know about the My Pocket Coach app. It talks about communicate with impact, managing impressions, influence, and lead direct with personal mastery. Is there anything that you really want to be sharing with people out there on why they should be downloading the app today?
Imagine having a repository of 150 years of skill, of expertise, in your pocket. That's what My Pocket Coach is. Why don't you have My Pocket Coach in your pocket?
Exactly. So essentially, Gail, that's, if we want to get hold of My Pocket Coach, or where we can get hold of you, where do we go for that? And what's the best place to do that?
So we're launching the app very soon. They can reach us on our website at the IE Group, is www.iegroup.coza.
Fantastic. And I know that on Facebook and Instagram, we've also got the profiles My Pocket Coach app, and on Instagram, it's My Pocket Coach _app. So if anybody wants to check that out, please feel free to head over on those social media platforms. Gail, thank you for the time. Thank you for making time for us. I'm so excited to be sharing your wisdom out there with everybody on social media. And in Women's Month, I'm sure we're going to be having more coaches on the lunchtime series and to chat more about everything they know. I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you for today's time, and we'll definitely be chatting soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. Have a great day.
Thanks, Gail. Chat soon. Bye-bye.